Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Friday, May 10th, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The racists in Virginia, they show their true colors. A school board has voted to restore the names of Confederate military leaders to high schools, elementary schools in the area. 4 years after names were removed in the wake of the death of George Floyd. Abbott Elementary star Sheryl Lee Ralph joined Vice President Kamala Harris on a reproductive health rights tour. We'll show you some of that. In Galveston, Texas, a redistricting case is headed to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The plaintiffs are trying to stop the county commissioner's court from breaking up a majority-minority district where Black and Latino residents make up 58% of the population. We'll talk to the lawyer fighting in that case. 5 years ago, Ronald Greene was viciously beaten by 6 Louisiana state troopers. His mother, Mona Harton, will be here to update us on her fight for justice for her son. And 110 years ago, mother Viola Ford Fletcher was born. Today, one of the remaining survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre celebrates her birthday. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. On the Black Star Network, let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
A Virginia County School Board is reinstating Confederate names to 2 schools, reversing a decision made 4 years ago in the wake of the death of George Floyd. In a 5-1 vote, the Shenandoah County Public School Board reversed a previous board's 2020 decision to change the names of schools linked to Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, and Turner Ashby, 3 racists who led the pro-slavery Southern states during the Civil War. The decision came after an hours-long meeting. More than 50 people opposed the reversal. Here is some of what took place.
I can't believe that we're here again. I really am heartbroken that a room full of people that I grew up with and knew feel the way that they do. I cannot understand how we can listen to a parade of white people tell us there was no racism at Stonewall Jackson High School. The only people that we need to hear from in terms of racism are the people that suffered from racism, my African American brothers and sisters. I really would like to advocate for my brothers and sisters and suggest that we not change the names back because it hurts people. I don't think that people are taking into consideration they are hurting their friends and neighbors by sitting up here and saying that racism still doesn't exist. I suggest that even changing the names back is an active act of racism. There is no reason to even bring the issue up except to make a point that, well, we're not going to let liberal wokes tell us what to do. Well, I resent being told what to do. I'm a Shenandoah County native. I don't like people from outside coming here and telling me what to do either. But I know right and wrong. And it's not right to be deliberately racist. It's not right to make statements that are deliberately racist. And it is absolutely wrong not to take into consideration the passionate feelings of my African American brothers and sisters.
First of all, this is one final chance to decide whether Shenandoah County is going to maintain names that are non-controversial, names that will remain non-controversial. Nobody needs to argue about the name Mountain View or Honey Run. Chances are, at some point, if these names are reversed, they will be reversed again, okay? The basis for the Confederacy is best spelled out in the cornerstone speech of Alexander Stephens, Vice President of the Confederacy. He made it very clear that secession and their purpose was to maintain what they said was the view that black people were inferior and were destined to live in slavery. Robert E. Lee believed nothing less. Stonewall Jackson, we don't have too many statements from him on it, but we know what he fought for. Turner Ashby led a mob raiding the home of an anti-slavery plantation owner in Clark County. Okay, these are things that this heritage, as we call it, are about. I understand sentimental attachments. I went to Central. Fortunately, that name is never going to be argued about either. But the thing is, people talk about generals. You can still be generals, Mountain View generals, okay? If people are attached to that name, that's already there. But do we want to be remembered as the county that reversed these names to bring back this horrible history and celebrate slavery and those who fought for it? Or do we wish to maintain names and be in the 21st century? Thank you.
Now, according to the Virginia Department of Education, more than 5,600 students attend Shenandoah County Public Schools. 75% are white, 18% are Hispanic, and 3% are black. My panel, Michael Imhotep, hosts the African History Network show out of Detroit. Kelly Bethel, communication strategist out of Washington, D.C. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi. Well, Kelly, these white racists, they love Confederate monuments, and they didn't give a damn what those white folks there had to say. It goes to show you that the party today that stands and supports the Confederacy, Republicans, conservatives.
Well, yeah, I mean, this does not surprise me. I'm actually more surprised at the fact that initiatives such as this haven't been more prevalent since 2020 and the death of George Floyd, and that there were conversations out there of people really thinking that these initiatives, such as renaming things, taking down statues and the like, would be reversed eventually because it was geared towards basically performative activism. And the board in Virginia seemed to agree with that sentiment and thought that, oh, we are past George Floyd now. We are past Black Lives Matter now, so we can slip this under the radar and get our stuff back and make America great again, or whatever the mantra is or the motive is to basically preserve racist history. You know, from just an American perspective of this, it makes absolutely no sense to keep names of Confederate anything in American lexicon, being a statue or a school or any type of monument, because you are literally upholding the traitors of this country, because that's what they are. That is exactly what they are. So, trying to preserve racism aside, it makes no sense to want to preserve traitorous history either.
These folks love their white domestic terrorists, Matt. Pure and simple.
They absolutely do. And, Kelly was 100% right. This is treason, and this is the glorification of treason. Now, I'll tell you what is particularly academically interesting to me about this scenario is, at least in what I read, there's an allegation that a large majority of people in that community want those schools to be renamed. That's abhorrent and it's reprehensible, and there's no question about that. I do think, however, that calls into question what is government's role in basically protecting us from universal mores like not celebrating treason. The idea that 90-something% of people in that community would want these schools to be renamed, irrespective of their history, is terrifying, but it's also disgusting, right? Because it's like we should have a baseline that we're not going to glorify those who separated from the United States to keep us in chains. But the fact that some large majority of people there wants to keep that is extremely concerning, and concerning. And I think it calls into question what does government do, right? Because majority rule would have these schools be renamed in the honor of these Confederate traitors, and obviously we can't allow that as a society. So I do think it calls into question how we reconcile that issue. However, I think Kelly really hit the nail on the head, because the thing I've never understood about these conversations is these are the same people who say make America great again, and they're jingoistic when it comes to Colin Kaepernick refusing to sing the national anthem or to salute the flag, right? Then it's all about America. But when it comes to the Confederacy, it's about heritage, and that heritage is in direct contravention to support of America. So that it's illogical, number one, and it's truly rooted in white supremacy. And I'm hoping that the school board there makes the decision that makes sense, irrespective of a majority wanting those names changed back.
Well, bottom line is, Michael, they're going to go along with it, with what people say there. They're going to change the names back because they want to honor those white, racist, domestic terrorists. That's who they are, and we have to call them that. They're not Confederate heroes. They committed treason. They are white, racist, domestic terrorists.
They committed treason based upon Article 3, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, and most of those people there probably haven't read. Yes, they are traitors, but also this was to be expected. Because when they changed the names, so if we go back to 2020, after George Floyd was killed May 25th, 2020, right, there was this whole racial reckoning that took place in various parts of the country, right? And people felt pressured to change the names, take down Confederate monuments, things of this nature. They didn't really want to, okay? A black man had to be killed on camera, and the video showed goes viral for something like this to take place. So when we look at this here, if we, going to what Kelly said, if we deal with rational people, it doesn't make sense to honor traitors. But when you deal with the fact that the South seceded from the Union to keep slavery and more importantly, maintain the wealth that slavery generated, and we look at the two periods of times in this country where you have the most Confederate monuments, it was right between about 1880 to about 1920, and then during the Civil Rights Movement. Okay, and these are periods of time when you had advances by African Americans, and they were erected to try to keep us in a subservient place. So we're seeing this backlash now, the attack on DEI, the overturning of affirmative action when it comes to college admissions. Okay, we're seeing all this backlash right now. So we have to understand this is a constant fight, and we have to understand this history of how we fought against this in the past.
Well, folks, don't be surprised if you don't see more of this. All right, going to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support us in what we do, folks. Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. You can send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back. A lot of y'all have been asking me about the pocket squares that we have available on our website. You see me rocking the Shibori pocket square right here. It's all about looking different. Now look, summertime is coming up. Y'all know, I keep trying to tell fellas, change your look, please. You can't wear athletic shoes every damn wear. So if you're putting on linen suits, if you're putting on some summer suits, have a whole different look. The reason I like this particular pocket square, the Shibori, is because it's sort of like a flower and looks pretty cool here versus the traditional boring silk pocket squares. But also I like being a little different as well. So this is why we have these custom-made feather pocket squares on the website as well. My sister actually designed these after a few years ago. I was in this battle with Steve Harvey at Essence, and I saw this at a St. Jude fundraiser. I saw this feather pocket square, and I said, well, I got some ideas. So I hit her, and she sent me about 30 different ones. And so this completely changes your look. Now, some of you men out there, I had some dudes say, oh, man, I can't wear that. Well, if you ain't got swagger, that's not my problem. But if you're looking for something different to spruce up your look, fellas, ladies, if y'all looking to get your man a good gift, I've run into brothers all across the country with the feather pocket squares saying, see, check mine out. And so it's always good to see them. And so this is what you do. Go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. You can order Shibori pocket squares or the custom-made pocket squares. Now, for the Shiboris, we're out of a lot of the different colors, and I think we're down to about 200 or 300. So you want to get your order in as soon as you can, because here's what happened. I got these several years ago, and the Japanese company signed a deal with another company, and I bought them before they signed that deal, and so I can't get access to any more from the company in Japan that makes them. And so get yours now. So come summertime, when I see y'all at Essence, y'all could be looking fly with the Shabori Pocket Square or the custom-made Pocket Square. Again, RolandSMartin.com/Pocket Squares. Go there now.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Xavier University, Louisiana, it canceled its plans for U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield, to deliver its 2024 undergraduate commencement address after students voiced their displeasure with her stance on the war in Gaza. Thomas Greenfield was scheduled to speak at Saturday's ceremony for the Xavier's College of Arts and Sciences graduation. Yet, Dr. Ronald Greene released this statement. In recent days, we have heard the voices of a number of students and others in the Xavier community who have expressed reservations over the invitation to Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield to serve as our 2024 commencement speaker, and have shared their strong views on the United States position on the conflict in the Middle East. There are also many in the community who admire Ambassador Thomas Greenfield and believe she would meaningfully contribute to the commencement ceremony. That said, everyone's goal is to have a commencement ceremony that appropriately honors the graduates and their achievements. The vast majority of students want to be able to enjoy a commencement ceremony free of disruptions. Therefore, we will not be moving forward with the commencement speaker as originally planned. We came to this regrettable conclusion together with Ambassador Thomas Greenfield's team. We look forward to welcoming the ambassador to campus in the future to engage with our students and faculty in substantive conversations. Xavier exists to fulfill its mission rooted in the values of justice, the pursuit of peace, and the elevation of the human spirit. For nearly 100 years, Xavier has dedicated itself to developing critical thinkers, innovators, advocates, activists, and professionals who are deeply imbued with the understanding that they have been blessed with an education for the creation of a more just, humane society. Founded by St. Catherine Drexel and the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament, Xavier boldly fulfills its mission to prepare students who assume roles of leadership and service in a global community. Today that mission remains as necessary and relevant as ever. Through prayerful discernment, dialogue, and steadfast fidelity to our faith and calling, may we be instruments of peace. You know, Matt, looking at that statement there, I mean, look, you've had USC canceling its graduation over concerns about security because it's valedictorian, Muslim. Cal Berkeley today, you had some folks who were shouting, protesting there. You got people been raising concerns and students and faculty about President Biden addressing Morehouse. Just your thoughts on this rancor around administration officials speaking at commencement this year.
Well, you know, I think first, the people who tend to take umbrage to this are the same people who laud the proud patriots at the Boston, where they threw the Tea Party, Boston Tea Party, right? Protest is okay as long as it fits your narrative. Protest is a problem if it doesn't meet your narrative. And I actually think Xavier took the wrong position here. I understand not wanting to foment this rancor and have people at a graduation ceremony, which, no pun intended, is about pomp and circumstance. You want people there to be able to walk across the stage and celebrate this with their families. However, colleges have always been and must remain in society a place where free speech is at its boldest and is at its most robust. Therefore, I think Xavier made a mistake by capitulating. I think it's good that there are students who are bold in their standing against the ambassador's position. I think that is important and is fruitful in a society based on free speech, at least theoretically. But I don't think that the college should have gotten rid of her unless there was credible threats that there was going to be violence or whatever. I think right now these university administrators are concerned about how to address this. They don't know how to, toe the line between free speech and making sure that there is decorum and safety and security on campus. But this is where this is supposed to happen, at colleges. Students are supposed to protest. Students are supposed to speak out. Students are supposed to have an issue. And frankly, if an issue comes up in the graduation, then you deal with it appropriately. But I think it is unfortunately cowardly to back away from somebody you have as a speaker because some contingent of people don't want them to speak. I think you deal with the consequences when it happens. And that's my opinion on it.
Michael, agree, disagree?
I agree with Xavier. Personally, I would ask the question, you know, when we have commencement speeches, right? The graduation is for the people who earned enough credits to graduate. So at a graduation, I would want somebody who I would really want to hear. I would want somebody who's going to be inspiring, who's going to be entertaining, okay? Now, she's a brilliant woman, Linda Thomas Greenfield, not to take anything away from her, but I would ask the question, what was the process that Xavier went through to choose a commencement speaker? Was it by student poll or, you know, how'd you come up with this? So with them, and Matt mentioned protests. Well, I think there were people protesting against her being there. In universities where you have discussion and things, you know, things of this nature, and everybody's not going to agree. But if they say, well, wait a second, also keep in mind, parents are coming to the graduation. Parents paid money to see their children, to, you know, for their children to go through college. So if they say, well, look, we have concerns about protests, things like this, and along with protests, there are concerns, various concerns of safety. If they say, well, look, we need to have another commencement speaker, maybe somebody that more students agree with, well, you know, I agree with that.
Kelly.
I disagree with Matt's position. I understand it, but I definitely disagree with it because in my head, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? And I think there's a lot of pushback in how these students are reacting to officials, elected officials, appointed officials, frankly, any officials associated with the Biden administration. I think people are looking at that differently because they are coming from a predominantly left-wing point of view. I refer to when Betsy DeVos was a commencement speaker. I can't remember which HBCU it was.
But that was Bethune-Cookman.
Thank you. But I remember when there was huge pushback from that. And if I recall correctly, the students, for a majority of her speech, booed her, right? You don't want that as a memory of your commencement, period. Because like everybody on the panel has said thus far, these students have paid to be here. They have worked hard to get this degree. And you want that last memory to be the best memory possible as a final chapter closure for this leg of your journey in education and matriculation through this institution. So if that means that you do not want any type of government official who, by way of just having that job, being in that position, we don't know what her actual political stance is, but we do know that she's affiliated with the Biden administration. And by and large, we do know what the Biden administration stance is regarding this war on Gaza, right? And if students disagree with that positioning, any proxy associated with that positioning is going to be a point of contention. And given what we have seen on college campuses thus far, being USC, even George Washington or Georgetown down here in DC, several colleges and universities across the country, I can understand why Xavier does not want that kind of exposure and coverage of their university on one of their biggest days. So I understand Xavier's positioning here. I agree with it, just from the standpoint of, frankly, giving the students what they want because they deserve it. They've earned it.
Well, you're right. I mean, and the focus should stay on the students, on the graduates. That's what the focus should be. But you absolutely could expect there to be, protests there. And I think the White House probably has to prepare itself for the same thing happening when President Biden goes to Morehouse. That is going to happen. This was live video right here of Bethune-Cookman, You can pull the audio up when Betsy DeVos spoke. Pull it up. I think Xavier Matt was trying to avoid that type of reaction.
Yeah, and look, I'm the first to admit it when I'm wrong. I did not recognize the most crucial point of all of this. Apparently, the SGA sent a letter to the administration saying the students did not want her. In that respect, I think that they made the right decision. If the students said that they didn't want her and the SGA, in whatever way they were able to ascertain that the majority of students did not want the commencement speaker, then it's absolutely for the students. And I think that that makes sense in that respect. I was of the impression, and I was incorrect, that Xavier did it just to avoid flack, essentially. And in that instance, I think they would be wrong. But if this is to give the students the culmination of their matriculation, then I think that's a different thing, and I would support it in that respect.
Well, Xavier, y'all looking for a speaker, y'all can call a brother.
Or me, a Sigma. I do commencement speeches also. I do commencement speeches.
Why?
Either one of us would be great. Either one of us would be great. Okay.
No, only one of us would be great.
Oh, we'll be great. I'm aspiring as well. I interweave history into my commencement speeches also. But
what commencement speeches have you given?
I'm giving a few, Roland. I'm giving a few. It's been a few years.
Name them.
I do more lectures. There was a charter school here. It was there last year. And a sister invited me. I forgot the name of the charter school. It was a...
Hold up. How you have a few commencement speeches and you forgot the one you got invited to last week? Even Kelly looking like...
No, I ain't say last week.
Last year. How you can't even remember?
Last year.
I mean...
It's been a few years. I don't do it as much as you, Roland. I have done it.
It's been a few years. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I can sit here and say Wilberforce.
Yeah.
Jackson State.
Right.
Lemoyne-Owen.
Right. But see, I've never been on CNN and MSNBC before.
Florida Memorial. I ain't been on CNN in 11 years.
But I've never been on CNN.
Florida Memorial. Stillman.
Right.
Lane.
Kelly, you came with that face.
South Carolina State.
Right.
University of Virginia, Lynchburg.
Well, maybe they'll call Michael M. Hotel. I do speak at events. I do get asked to speak.
Virginia State.
Yep.
Bowie State. You want me to keep going?
No.
This is only a 2-hour show.
You want me to keep going? I think it's like.
You don't do.
I think it's like.
No, you spoke.
I think it's like 20. I think it's like 21, 22.
Yeah, because you would call me.
Matter of fact, hold on. Let me
the radio show.
Hold on, let me
you
see.
couldn't do it. That's how we connect.
Let me see. Hold on.
Because you say, Michael, I gotta speak here tomorrow. Can you do my show? So I know you spoke there, Roland. Nobody's doubting that.
I'm just sitting here, just checking. I ain't.
Nobody say you didn't speak at HBCUs.
I ain't go to the wide shot, Anthony. Yeah, I ain't. I'm just saying, I ain't got. Since I'm just saying, See, let's see here. That's Bowie State right there. We can go ahead.
Right.
Hold up, let me just go ahead. Right, that's Bowie State right there. So that's, I'm surprised Kelly ain't getting a little shout out her little school.
My little school, wait a minute.
Kelly.
You know, let's see here what we got over here. All right, yeah.
No.
See, we got, hold on, we got, let's see here. That's Morgan State right there. That's Morgan State right there.
Right.
Hold on, let's see right here. What's this right here? Oh, that's Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. Well, I forgot, Philander Smith, Texas Southern University. We ain't got time. I mean, I'm just saying.
Right.
You know, Grambling State.
Well,
you know.
I disputed that because I was one of the people that held down your radio show while you went to travel to go do the speeches. So nobody disputed that.
Yeah, just sometimes you got to remind folk. You know, sometimes you got to remind folk. You know, sometimes who starts feeling their oats. You know, sometimes you gotta let them know. Gotta let you Sigmas know that when you roll up against the Alpha, it don't end well for you. All right, Kelly, why you looking like that?
Welcome back, Kelly. Welcome back. This is what you came back to.
Kelly, why? First of all, Kelly, he started it. He threw a little Sigma.
He did. Oh, no. I know who my anger is directed at. That part, I'm good on it.
What? All I'm saying is I do commencement speeches too. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
He just couldn't remember the one he did last year.
It wasn't last year. It was at least 5 years ago.
Oh, God, no. 5 years.
It was a charter school that was closed.
Ooh, Lord, 5 years. Damn, it was a charter school that was closing. Michael, this is not going well for you.
You are not helping.
I'm serious.
No, Mike, this ain't going well. This ain't going well for you. This ain't.
You didn't hear me.
Now you said I did a charter school. You didn't say the closing part.
Oh no, yeah, it was that last year. It was a charter school that was closed. It was that last year, yeah.
Woo. Okay. All right. Let me go to a break because Michael needs to gather himself. Well, he's been gathered. He needs to collect himself. He's been gathered. And look, hey, Matt, you can't blame this.
Cool.
Matt, you can't blame this one on me. I mean,
I'm cool. Blue fly all day. I'm smooth. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Let's go to commercial break.
Yeah, that every 5-year commencement. Okay.
Just go to commercial break.
My name's Bennett. I'm not in it.
That twice a decade commencement.
We never are, Matt. We never are.
that twice a decade commencement. All right. I ain't even gonna go get them 5 honorary degrees off the wall in my kitchen. All right. What shaking your head for, Bat? I'm just saying.
My name's Bennett.
Break.
Let him go to break, brother. I'm good.
I own it. We ain't got to go to break. All right, we come back. We come back. Vice President Kamala Harris, Sheryl Lee Ralph talk reproductive rights. We'll show you some of that conversation. We get back on Roland Martin Unfiltered, life member, Alpha Phi Alpha, 35 years on the Black Star Network.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
On A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, the necessity of believing in things you can't see. It's called faith. It comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's powerful. And it's a big part of being able to live a balanced life.
The valley I experienced being a cancer survivor was one where my footing was completely unstable. I had no idea what to do. And in that instance of not knowing what to do, I had to rely on faith.
That's all next on A Balanced Life, only on Black Star Network.
I'm Dr. Greg Carr, and coming up on the next Black Table, thinking about the Black freedom movement in a global way. Dr. John Monroe joins us to discuss his book, The Anti-Colonial Front, which maps the social justice movement in the United States and its impact internationally, from Asia to Africa, and how movements like anti-communism were used to slow down racial equality, like critical race theory today.
Critical race theory today, communism back then, that's essentially mobilized to shut down any challenges to a given system of power.
Connecting the civil rights movement to colonialism on the next Black Table, exclusively here on the Black Star Network.
Farquhar, executive producer of Proud Family.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Vice President Kamala Harris resumed her conversations on reproductive freedom tour, this time with Emmy Award-winning actress Sheryl Lee Ralph. The conversation centered around abortion access and women's health care during a campaign event in Pennsylvania's Salus University in Montgomery County. Ralph tells the story of how she almost lost her son 30 years ago.
2 children, son and a daughter, Etienne and Ivy. And when my son was born, it almost didn't happen. I had lost my amniotic fluid. And most of us know in here, that's the fluid that surrounds the baby in the womb. I had lost it all. And I was about ready to have what they called a dry birth, which is complicated. My God, I haven't thought about this, which is complicated, and the survival of the child is, wow. So I was in a moment where I was so close to birth and death at the same time. And this doctor says to me, you have one chance right now for a viable delivery. I'm listening to this as I'm trying to deliver my child. Suppose my child was not viable, and in that moment, you're going to, now, you know what it looks like. In that moment, if that doctor were to deliver and excavate the child from my womb, they would have gone to prison. These are the kind of things we have got to think about. That happened to me. But that was 30 years ago. I had more rights 30 years ago.
Vice President Harris warned the crowd that abortion restrictions in more than a dozen states could spread nationwide if Republican candidate Donald Trump is elected again, and more women could be affected by the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which took place 2 years ago. Ralph and Harris both say it's time to trust that women can make the best decisions about their bodies.
And when we talk about freedom, why is it that we are still having to have a conversation over and over and over again about how important it is to trust women? Why do we have to keep talking about the choices that women must make for themselves? And why are we having to talk to so many women to let them know how important they are in this re-election on this subject, and how important it is to vote for your own best interest?
So here's what I would say. I often paraphrase, I think it's such a lovely, important saying from Coretta Scott King. And she famously said, the fight for civil rights, and you can insert there the fight for equality and freedom, must be fought and won with each generation. And when she said that, I think she had 2 points in mind. One is that it is the nature of these fights that whatever we gain will not be permanent. It's the nature of it. Therefore, the second point, we must be vigilant and not be overwhelmed when these moments happen, because the nature of it, the very nature of it, is we must be vigilant to hold on to these rights.
You know, Kelly, when you look at these mainstream channels and these polls, and they talk about, oh my goodness, Vice President Harris is such a drag on the ticket. The reality is, I would counter that. I think if the Biden administration, the Biden campaign was smart, they would be putting her on the road a hell of a lot more. Not just, you know, because she's having her economic empowerment tour. This is about reproductive rights. But they should be expanding what she's talking about. And the bottom line is, look, we know Biden is not doing as many events as possible. I would have her on the road multiple days a week. And what I would also be doing is, I will be having rallies. I will be literally having her out there giving speeches, firing people up, talking to African Americans, talking to women, talking to young people. They should be using her more.
I completely agree with that. And it is frustrating to see, because in 2020, my understanding is the whole reason that Kamala Harris was chosen, well, I shouldn't say the whole reason, but a large reason that Kamala Harris was chosen to be our vice president is because of her intersectionality. She is Black. She is of South Asian descent. She is a woman. She is married. Like, she has so many lanes that cross through her, to the point where she is so identifiable with everybody. She has a place in everybody's mind, because there is something about her that everybody can relate to. And it is frustrating to me as a comms person to see such a rare jewel in comms not be utilized as much as she could be. For whatever reason, I'm not in the Biden camp. I don't know why, but if this election is as vital and as crucial as everybody is touting it out to be, if we really have to vote to save our democracy again, vote to save our lives again, why don't we use who we have, in my opinion, for the first time? Because she wasn't really utilized on the trail last time either. At least do it right this time, so that we can have something to relate to, so that we can have something to fight for, as opposed to simply vote against.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think last time you had COVID. And so, I mean, I remember, my goodness, being on the campaign trail in 2020, and, you know, you're out there and we're having these outdoor rallies and things along those lines. But again, to me, I think when you see these conversations, when she's paired with a Sheryl Lee Ralph, when you have folks like that, to me, you do more of that, Matt. You make that more interesting. You make it more engaging, because it's about touching the people. It's about being where they are. And I would dare say, look, I was there on Monday when she was in Detroit, and one of the things that they did, and I understand why they do it this way, but also I think it's a mistake. So, for instance, they had the main event, okay, which is the Charles Wright Museum. Then she did some interviews afterwards. Then she met with some pastoral leaders and community leaders. Well, media wasn't in there. Well, we should have been in there. The reason I know they want to have frank conversations, but they need to be able to show her engaging with community-based groups as well. And I just think that it's smart politics to put her with regular, ordinary people as much as possible, to be having regular, ordinary conversations. And I get the economic empowerment tour, but I frankly, I really think, I remember when I think Obama did one. I think he went to Southern, and there was a Q&A. Do the same with her. Give her an opportunity to be able to take some questions from people in the audience and have that. To me, that just makes more sense and better use of her skill set.
I think that's right, but I think that they're afraid of running away on the fence voters, particularly white Midwestern voters who may view her as divisive because of coverage for her. And I think it's stupid because she's obviously effective at communicating the Biden administration's points, and in doing so with the necessary gravitas to really make those points go home. So I think they do need to utilize her better. And I know we talked recently about that hit piece, about basically what is her position and all of this stuff. And the reality of it is she's a Black woman, so she will be judged more harshly than anyone else. But she's very effective at communicating their points. And I think the Biden administration needs to not be afraid to embrace that and to utilize her. But I think one thing we have to talk about with this story in particular is before we came on the air today, I read a story that the Texas Supreme Court just issued an opinion today, 21-page opinion, where they said a woman who had paid her doctor to perform a tubal ligation where the doctor did not actually perform it and she had a baby was not entitled to emotional damages, mental anguish damages, and all of that because the Texas Supreme Court said a baby is a blessing and not an injury by virtue of the fact that she did not get the reproductive right, that she had paid for with her doctor. I think they construed it wrong because they tried to make it about abortion, and it's really more about a breach of contract if you consider that she paid the doctor for the procedure. But the bigger point is this. Women across this country and anybody with their eyes open should be concerned about the fact that courts and politicians are eroding our rights in front of our very eyes. And I think right now it is the time for the Biden administration to run full speed ahead to not only talk to its own base, but to run to those other voters who are on the fence and who don't like Donald Trump and who don't like the Republicans to say, this is an attack on your decision about your own body. Even if you don't agree with people's decision, you should agree that they have the right to make the decision. And I think the Biden-Harris administration needs to be beating that drum very, very, very strongly, because if you notice, the Republicans, and particularly Mr. Trump, does not have a strong position on this. He keeps deferring to the states should have their own ability to choose. And I think that's because they know that that is no longer the feather in their cap. So I think the Biden administration needs to leverage that in its messaging and put her out there in the forefront.
Well, look, Michael, I said last year, and I still say it, that part of this issue is being on what I call an education and enlightenment tour. That's one of the things that needs to be happening, and I'm glad to see these here again. I mean, this right here is. I remember we were in Jackson, Mississippi, in 2020, and it was nothing but being in mass parking lots, and people were staying in cars. They couldn't get out. COVID was impacting all of that, and so it was just a totally different feel, if you will, in terms of campaigning than what we're seeing actually happen right now. But I absolutely think that she was in Detroit Monday.
Detroit, right.
Then of course in Pennsylvania today. Also, to taking advantage of the weekends. You have to have messengers. You have to have messengers who are talking about the message. And the message can't just be abortion. It can't be. And so I think, again, utilizing her, and what's interesting to me is I don't even understand why the campaign is not even using surrogates in a much more aggressive way. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to tell you straight up right now. I have not gotten a single email or a text message from the campaign saying, hey, we would like for somebody to come on. Mm-hmm. I haven't even, they have a director of African American media. I saw the announcement when she got hired. I've never even heard from her. And I'm sitting here going, it's May. If they are trying to run the 2020 campaign, they're going to lose. You can't. We're living the cycles have moved so fast that how you run has to totally change. And I'm just not quite, and I see when they have Mitch Landrieu, and I see when they have the press secretary, the deputy press secretary on CNN and on CBS and ABC, but I'm like, y'all better be sending out a hell of a lot more messengers on a more frequent basis, because this idea of, well, the summer doldrum, we could just, you know, June, July, conventions in August, we could start up in September, you're shortening your runway. And when you shorten your runway, you're running out of days. Right now, they have to be hitting people to go, oh, they've done that, they're gonna fight for this, and this is what they want to accomplish over the next 4 years. Then you gotta convince those people they're not registered to register. Then you gotta get those people who are registered to then vote. You can't go from just, hey, vote, 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 if you're not even registered right now. Then you gotta sit there and fight the temptation of the couch from folks who say, I don't think you've done enough. To me, that means using her in a much more effective way.
Yeah, I agree with you on some of that there. What's happening, the economic empowerment tour is brilliant. I hope that continues. I saw it in it, part of it in Atlanta. I saw a lot of it here in Detroit. The women's reproductive rights, because this is even more than just abortion. It's dealing with women's reproductive rights. That campaign, those interactions with people like Sheryl Lee Ralph are extremely important as well. I think the Biden-Harris campaign has to understand you can't deal with the traditional timeline of a campaign. Okay, whereas the campaigns don't peak in May. We all know that. But I think because of so many people don't like either Biden or Trump, at least at this point, and then you have you have more interest in third-party candidates, you have to really drive home the fact now of what has been accomplished. This is something I've talked about a lot on this show, especially with, for instance, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which saved the economy. And no Republicans in the House or the Senate voted for the bill. And the reason why it's so important to talk about what you accomplished is that bill passed in March 2021. Well, people just lump that in with what got accomplished with the two coronavirus bills, COVID-19 bills under Trump. They don't make a distinction. But it was Democrats that wrote the bill and Democrats only that voted for the bill. The other thing that has to happen is you have to call out Republican obstructionists. It was when we talk about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, all these George Floyd Justice Policing Act, but also the John Lewis Voting Rights Act especially. All these black people said they wanted this, right? The John Lewis Voting Rights Act. No Republicans in the House or the Senate voted for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. But they want to blame Biden for not getting passed. No, focus on those Republican senators, because it did pass the House of Representatives. It was only Democrats that voted for it. Focus on those 50 Republican senators, especially the 16 Republican sitting senators that voted to reauthorize the 1965 Voting Rights Act in 2006, but all 50 voted against it in 2021. So it's putting all this together. And Quentin Fulks and others from the Biden-Harris campaign should definitely come on. Roland Martin Unfiltered. This is Black-owned media. Don't run from Black-owned media. But I think, yes, things are going to ramp up, but I think they should be in more aggressive right now, even though it's May, more aggressive right now. Don't wait till after Labor Day to really get aggressive.
The runway shortens. That means you have fewer days. And so that's what they should be doing right now. So we'll see. But I'm like, y'all might want to get a move on it. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back more on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We're going to talk about this voting rights case out of Galveston, Texas. Also, the LDF returns to the Supreme Court fighting for their second congressional district in Louisiana. All that more right here on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
as an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T-Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Let's go to Texas. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals will hear the case next week about the only district in a county where Black and Latino voters can determine election outcomes. In 2021, Galveston County's Commissioners Court put forth a plan that chopped up the only majority-minority district where Black and Latino residents make up 58% of the electorate. Guess what? They just broke it up and sent them all over the place. Obliterated that one district. Well, it's been going back and forth. That particular district found to be unconstitutional. Then, of course, overrules, was back and forth. Valencia Richardson is the legal counsel for voting rights for the Campaign Legal Center, joins us from D.C. So, Valencia, this has like been back and forth. It's been a ping pong a match. Where do we now stand in this legal battle?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Tuesday, we're facing the en banc, so that's the full Fifth Circuit, is going to hear the appeal of the county of the lower court's decision, which found a Section 2 violation, a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act by the county's decision to do what you said, to crack Black and Latino voters in Galveston County across 4 districts. And for the first time since the 1990s, Black and Latino voters do not have a district in which they can elect the county commissioner of their choice in Galveston County.
And if there's, now we already know how they've gutted Section 5, but Section 2 has been, I mean, the one, great thing that's still standing. And by using Section 2, that's how we got the 2nd District in Alabama, the 2nd District in Louisiana. Now, of course, you have the federal judge ruling in Arkansas. They're trying to actually target Section 2. They've been trying to obliterate that. Clarence Thomas wants to get rid of the Voting Rights Act completely. But that's the only way we've been, frankly, winning a lot of these cases.
And I think that Section 5 point is so important because Galveston County's decision back in 2021 to change the map the way it did, that was the first map that Galveston County passed absent Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. So Galveston County used to be subject to that federal preclearance that was obliterated in Shelby County. And immediately after preclearance was no longer available to Galveston County's residents, the county passed a illegal and discriminatory map and violated Section 2. And so it's not a coincidence. The Shelby County decision in the dissent, Ruth Bader Ginsburg mentioned that it's like taking away an umbrella, but because it's no longer because you're no longer wet. But it's still raining, and Galveston County was a prime example of that. One of the first maps passed in 2020 after the census in 2021 that for a district that was formerly subject to preclearance. And it was, of course, discriminatory.
So when it comes to Galveston County, is this the only Democrat district, or is it 4-1, or what's the ideological split in that county?
At the current map, the ideological split is 4-0 Republican, but I think more importantly, the current map is 4-0 insofar that there are 0 districts now that Black and Latino voters can elect any candidate of their choice. As you mentioned, they're split up across 4 in where they are the distinct minority. There's just no way that Black and Latino voters could ever elect a candidate that they choose in any of those 4 districts.
Questions from the panel. Matt, you first.
So first, thank you for doing this work. My mother is from Texas City and from Galveston County, so this is, important to my family. I guess the question I have for you, though, is what do you think the Fifth Circuit is going to really focus on? The Fifth Circuit, we know, is notoriously conservative, and I have no illusions that an en banc Fifth Circuit is necessarily favorable to the plaintiffs. So what is your thought about what they're going to focus on as it relates to determining whether this map should stand?
So, you know what? That's a great question, because it's important to understand that the Fifth Circuit actually many years ago ruled that districts like these are viable. And so the question in the appeal is whether the Voting Rights Act, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act in particular, imposes what the county would like it to impose, which is a single race limitation on Voting Rights Act claims. So the county is basically saying Black and Latino voters cannot come together to state a violation under the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The Fifth Circuit has long held that there's no single race limitation. There's no racial purity test on who can state a claim under Section 2. And that's going to be what the county has asked them to focus on, is whether or not that their longstanding precedent should continue. And I think that's what the Fifth Circuit is going to focus a lot on during the hearing on the appeal.
Kelly?
Sure. So I understand that this is regarding the Fifth Circuit, but it is also known that the Eighth Circuit had a similar case to this, and they did not rule in the party's favor that is equivalent to yours. So my question to you is, how worried are you, given that this is arguably the most conservative appellate court in the country, and what are next steps if the ruling isn't in your favor?
You know what? I think I'm personally always worried when you have a county like Galveston County who is essentially fighting to undermine the equal opportunity and representation for minority voters, in this case, Black and Latino residents of Galveston County. That always makes me nervous, and the fact that there's an appeal to determine whether Black and Latino voters in Galveston County, the birthplace of Juneteenth, is able to, the Black and Latino voters are able to elect their candidates of choice or have the opportunity to, is very worrisome to me. But I think what we should all be, what is a little different, and there are lots of differences in the Eighth Circuit case from this Fifth Circuit case. The Eighth Circuit case didn't involve a county district. It was different type of districting map. The legal question was a lot different than what's in the Eighth Circuit right now. But also, the Fifth Circuit has specifically decided the very issue that's on appeal right now, and has decided in our favor, because it's a very obvious, if you are reading the text of Section 2, it is just so obvious that it's hard to arrive to a different conclusion. And so I think there is room for hope insofar that the question is obvious. Like, what, how can it be that Black and Latino voters can't state a claim together? And when we have all of this evidence of clear history of discrimination, clear present day effects of discrimination, the district court which said that the map that was passed in 2021 was stark and jarring. There's just so much there that I think we can see this as a different case. The Eighth Circuit was an outlier by all accounts, and wrongly decided. But we can see this as singular in a different way, but also singularly obvious in that Black and Latino voters should obviously be able to elect the candidates, have an equal opportunity to elect candidates of their choice, particularly under these circumstances in Galveston County.
Michael?
Thanks for coming on, Attorney Richardson. I had two questions for you. Hopefully I can get asked. One, the article from Capital B News says this case could undermine voting rights and Black Latino political solidarity. Can you talk about a little bit that Black Latino political solidarity in Galveston, Texas? Does it exist? What extent does it exist to, number one? And number two, how do you go about explaining the historical significance of the 1965 Voting Rights Act to African Americans and Latinos there in Galveston, Texas? Because so many of our people, especially the younger generation, think 1965, the Voting Rights Act, was such a long time ago. That was back then. That may not have anything to do with what's going on today. How do you bridge that gap?
These are great questions. So the first one, with respect to the history of Black and Latino voters in Galveston County, I think this is a paradigmatic example of minority voters who have suffered from a long history of racial discrimination and have similar interests and issues, so obviously joining together. So we've got Black and Latino voters and residents of Galveston County who both suffered from segregation, for example, and who both continue to suffer from socioeconomic disparities, disparities in education outcomes, disparities in health outcomes, and who have consistently, for the last several decades, voted for the same candidates because the issues are also very similar. And so the power of Black and Latino residents in Galveston County is almost so, if you're a resident of Galveston County, if you're one of the plaintiffs in this case, it's almost so obvious as to be unsaid. And so this actually folds into your next question, which is the Galveston County is also a prime example of why the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was so important in the first place. When you look at the history of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, there was a recognition that Texas had pervasive discrimination by the majority against Mexican Americans and African Americans in the state. That is in the legislative history of the passage of the Voting Rights Act. When you look at the history of Precinct 3, which is the historical majority-minority district in Galveston County that was dismantled, you hear from Black and Latino residents who were there when it became a majority-minority precinct in the 90s, and when it was dismantled in 2021, felt like that importance because it was taken away from them by the county. And so they felt why the Voting Rights Act was important. And so explaining sort of why it's still important, look no further than Galveston County. You've got literally a direct causation from the dismantling of the Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act through Shelby County to the next day losing the only representative that Black and Latino residents in Galveston have ever felt truly represented them. And you can explain that through just like the most recent history. We're not talking about 1965 history. We're talking about 2021. This happened. And so that's how I explain it to folks who are like, why is this so important? Like Galveston County is the example of why the Voting Rights Act is still important today.
All right, then.
Thank you.
Valencia, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, we come back, a statue honoring Daisy Bates Little Rock 9. Now in the U.S. Capitol. We'll show you and tell you all about it next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support us in what we do. Join the Brina Funk Fan Club. So you're checking money, order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037 0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone. Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of our book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version on Audible. Back in a moment. A lot of y'all have been asking me about the pocket squares that we have available on our website. You see me rocking the Shibori pocket square right here. It's all about looking different. Now look, summertime is coming up. Y'all know, I keep trying to tell fellas, change your look, please. You can't wear athletic shoes every damn wear. So if you're putting on linen suits, if you're putting on some summer suits, have a whole different look. The reason I like this particular pocket square, the Shibori, is because it's sort of like a flower and looks pretty cool here versus the traditional boring silk pocket squares. But also I like being a little different as well. So this is why we have these custom-made feather pocket squares on the website as well. My sister actually designed these after a few years ago. I was in this battle with Steve Harvey at Essence, and I saw this at a St. Jude fundraiser. I saw this feather pocket square, and I said, well, I got some ideas. So I hit her, and she sent me about 30 different ones. And so this completely changes your look. Now, some of you men out there, I had some dudes say, oh, man, I can't wear that. Well, if you ain't got swagger, that's not my problem. But if you're looking for something different to spruce up your look, fellas, ladies, if y'all looking to get your man a good gift, I've run into brothers all across the country with the feather pocket squares saying, see, check mine out. And so it's always good to see them. And so this is what you do. Go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. You can order Shibori pocket squares or the custom-made pocket squares. Now, for the Shiboris, we're out of a lot of the different colors, and I think we're down to about 200 or 300. So you want to get your order in as soon as you can, because here's what happened. I got these several years ago, and the Japanese company signed a deal with another company, and I bought them before they signed that deal, and so I can't get access to any more from the company in Japan that makes them. And so get yours now. So come summertime, when I see y'all at Essence, y'all could be looking fly with the Shibori pocket square or the custom-made pocket square. Again, RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. Go there now.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Mr. Dalvin right here. What's up? This is KC. Sitting here representing the JODECI, that's Jodeci, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Israel Robinson has been missing from Hendersonville, North Carolina since February 24th. The 16-year-old is 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighs 135 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information about Israel Robinson should call the Hendersonville, North Carolina Police Department at 828-697-4911, 828-697-4911. Little Rock 9 activist and black newspaper owner Daisy Bates was honored this week with the unveiling of her statue in the U.S. Capitol. The statue of Bates replaces a statue of Arkansas figures from the 19th century. Bates was born in Huddock, Arkansas in 1914. 3 white men allegedly murdered her mom while she was an infant, which spurred her to become a civil rights activist. Bates led the Arkansas NAACP branch for many years and mentored the Little Rock 9 black students who were the first to integrate Central High School in the state capitol in 1957. Bates and her husband, L.C. Bates, founded the Arkansas Weekly newspaper. Now, what's interesting about this video here, if you look here, that she still is sandwiched between Confederates. Mississippi, Florida, of course, has made some changes. They got Mayor McLeod Bethune, of course, Arkansas sent Daisy Bates. But them good old boys in Mississippi, they still holding on to their Confederate heroes. Michael, they ain't trying to let them go. And matter of fact, today is Confederate Day in the state of South Carolina. All government offices are closed today in South Carolina. They just love them white domestic terrorists.
Yes, they do, Roland. And when you read their statements of secession, you see why, because they said why they were seceding from the Union. They said it was to maintain slavery. They talked about how slavery was central to their wealth. We know Mississippi in 1860 was supplying about close to 2/3 or a little more than 2/3 of the world's cotton supply. So, and that's back on the backs of slaves. So, yeah, they're not going to, I mean, they went to war to maintain what they had. And then their descendants attacked the U.S. Capitol building January 6, 2021. So absolutely. But this is a great, not to take away from the accomplishments of Daisy Bates, because she helped mentor the Little Rock Nine. And they used to, if I remember correctly, in the documentary Eyes on the Prize, they interviewed her. And the Little Rock Nine went to her house every morning for breakfast, and she would help them with their homework, give them encouragement, things of this nature. So this is a big honor for Daisy Bates, but a slap in the face to put her between some Confederate traitors.
And the thing here is, this is a photo here that was posted on the Twitter page of Congressman Jim Clyburn. And so in our U.S. Statuary Hall, she's only the second African American to be honored this way. Of course, Rosa Parks is also there as well, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, and she is a titan. I mean, Michael's right. In fact, I read that she joined the PTA at Central High School. She didn't even have a child there. She was so holistic in her advocacy for those families, and the kids were coming to her house every day, and she was shepherding the parents through the enrollment process and making sure that they were able to fully realize the rights that they should have been able to realize. So I think she's a titan, and I think she is an exemplar, and it's a sad thing that she's in between two Confederates. And, you know, the reality is, I really like that Michael spoke so plainly on this. You know, when it comes to whether we should have these statues or Confederate Day or whatever, what you always hear people try to make this about is about heritage. But the wild thing about that is the heritage of the people who were contemporaries was about slavery. That's all this was about. So there's no way to co-opt that and make it about heritage or about anything other than the continuation of slavery and the degradation of Black people. And it is still that today. And no matter how much you try to co-opt that and repackage it, it cannot be repackaged. And this shows some of the schizophrenia that we have, if you will, in our common conversations these days, because Sarah Huckabee Sanders talking about Daisy Bates bringing people together despite working in the administration of the most divisive president who has preyed upon racist tropes and
but also Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's a governor of Arkansas, who was out there pushing for this anti-CRT law that was, of course, the federal courts just jacked them up. So she's full of it.
And she's going to shuck and jive next February talking about Black History Month, right? I mean, that's the reality, is that we allow this back and forth and this vacillation where at the end of the day, when we're advantageous to play upon as being a part of the fold, you bring us in. And then when some yokel says that he wants, Confederates Day to be honored, then you say, oh, he's got a right to his heritage. And we both know that's BS. I mean, if you're really about America and American values, that is directly in contravention to that. But I do think that it's good that the state of Arkansas made a good decision to put such an exemplar like Daisy Bates there in the Capitol Rotunda.
Well, we see exactly what this is all about. And just for the folks just to understand, slight correction. So Rosa Parks' statue does not represent Alabama. So the two are Daisy Bates, representing Arkansas, Mayor McLeod Bethune representing Florida. And so if you're on my iPad, what you see here, this is African-American art in the Capitol. So you see, now there is a bronze statue of Rosa Parks in National Statuary Hall, but that is not one of the two statues for the state of Alabama. They have Helen Keller and Joseph Wheeler. So you also see there's a bust, a bronze statue of Frederick Douglass. Again, you say Rosa Parks as well, and there are busts of Dr. King and Sojourner Truth, and portraits of Blanche Kelso Bruce, Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, Congressman John Conyers. There are two of him, Congressman Elijah Cummings, Congressman William Dawson, Congressman Ron Dellums, Congressman William H. Gray, Congressman Augustus Hawkins, Congresswoman Ida Bernice Johnson, Congressman Perrin Mitchell, Congressman Joseph Rainey, Congressman Charlie Rango, and Congressman Edolphus Towns. And then there are paintings. As you see, there are murals. So this here is all of the art that is African-American art that is there in the U.S. Capitol. Kelly.
Now, again, I think this is, and I echo the sentiments of Matt and Michael, I think this is a wonderful honor for Miss Bates. The irony is not lost on me that she's sandwiched in between two traitors. I think that is a microcosm of how Black women who do amazing things are situated in this country on a regular basis. It goes back to my comment a couple segments ago regarding why we continuously try to preserve the history of those who tried to erase American history, right? Like they literally tried to create another country that was literally going to continuously be built on the backs of the enslaved and disenfranchised. So again, the irony is not lost on me. I'm sure it's a wonderful honor, but we still have a lot of work to do in regards to getting traitors out of our lexicon as a country.
Absolutely, folks. All right, Black Democratic lawmakers have reintroduced a bill that would ban discrimination against a person's hairstyle or hair texture. New Jersey Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman led a group of 84 lawmakers in sponsoring the reintroduction of H.R. 8191, or the Crown Act, in the House. The bill was previously passed in the House in 2019 and 2022, but it was blocked in the Senate. If passed, the law would end race-based hair discrimination in schools and workplaces for Black Americans and other communities of color. So, I think that it's certainly important to do that, and we'll see if these Republicans have the guts in the Senate, Kelly, to actually move on the bill. It's been passed twice in the House. Now the question is, will the Senate do their job?
I mean, let us hope, because like I've said on your show several times, my hair did not get me any job, any degree, any accolades or accomplishments. It's just my hair, and it should never be a deterrent or motivating or whatever factor in my success as a citizen in this country or otherwise. It is really asinine and sad to me that this is still a conversation. But here we are.
Michael?
Yeah, Roland. Yeah, it's going to need 60 votes in the Senate. And there are 51 Democrats, or those that vote along with Democrats, including the 2 independents. So pressure's going to have to put on the Republicans in the Senate to get it passed. But is he going to? I don't think it's passed the House yet. So I don't see this passing this 118th Congress, and Republicans control the House. I don't see it. They can try it, but what I think needs to happen is you need to mark those that vote against it in this 118th Congress and run against them in November 2024. Highlight that. These are people blocking what you want. Okay, this deals with removing the obstructionists. We have to understand how to vote obstructionists out of power.
Matt?
Sorry, I'll be the cynical voice. This isn't going to matter unless they find a way to take away schools' ability to govern their dress codes. I had a case almost like this recently. I read a bunch of cases from the Fifth Circuit, and they defer every time to the school board and the school board's teaching of decorum, and they have all these inconsistent cases. And I'll spare you the diatribe, but the long and short of it is it's largely symbolic unless schools are required to actually adhere to the law and they don't get the out of being able to control their dress codes. Once that is a companion part of this, then there will actually be justice in this respect, but there will not be unless and until that happens.
All right then, folks. All right, folks, gonna go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, the wealth gap has literally not changed in over 50 years, according to the Federal Reserve. On the next Get Wealthy, I'm excited to chat with Jim Castleberry, CEO of Known Holdings. They have created a platform, an ecosystem to bring resources to Blacks and people of color so they can scale their business.
Even though we've had several examples of African Americans and other people of color being able to be successful, we still aren't seeing the mass level of us being lifted up.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
You know what? I wish a lot of black people would shut the hell up about Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Let me explain why I'm saying that. I've watched people do these commentaries. Oh, they sitting here giving the white girl more contracts than the black person. All this back and forth. Let me remind people of something. The NBA was in the gutter. The NBA was considered a drug-fueled league. In fact, let me help you all out. When my Houston Rockets played the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals, I think that was 81, it was on tape delay. Let me say that again. It was on tape delay, the NBA Finals. The news came on at 10 p.m. Central in Houston, and they showed the game on tape delay after the news went off. That's how much the NBA sucked. Yet two people came into the league, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And the reality is those two individuals representing two iconic franchises, Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers. They played these against each other in the NCAA National Championship game. That created the energy that revived and turned around the NBA. And so I was just seeing today, because the WNBA announced that teams now will be able to do charter flights. Somebody was like, oh, here it is. Now they doing charters because the video came out of Caitlin Clark walking through the airport having to be surrounded by security. Nope. The reason they now are going to have charters in the WNBA, because they now have more money. Their media rights deal is going to be a much higher deal than it was in the past. That's what's going on. Amazon and another major company announced, Amazon and Adidas, I think, announced a major investment in terms of WNBA players. I need people to sometimes chill the hell out with, oh my goodness, there's like the white girl getting all this attention. Here's the whole deal. Let me just help folks out, because it ain't hard. There are more white people in America. Yep, those are the numbers. And so if you're an advertiser and you're going to market a Caitlin Clark, who, whether you like it or not, did break numerous records, great. But let me help everybody out there who's complaining about something. When a black guy started playing golf, you know what happened? TV contracts got renegotiated and the purses went through the roof. It's a whole bunch of white golfers sitting there like, man, I'm glad Tiger came along, because we all got paid if Tiger come along. Versus sitting here complaining about Caitlin Clark and, oh, why these things are happening because of Caitlin Clark. Maybe folks should step back and now realize that with the resurgence of the ratings and the basketball ratings and what's going to happen with the WNBA and now more attention, guess what? Everybody's now going to get paid more money. So I'm not tripping about the attention being paid to Caitlin Clark. I'm like, good. Because the vast majority of players in the WNBA are black. Which now means that if the value of the WNBA increases, the salaries of black players increase. That now means that you're going to have more contracts, more endorsement deals for other players. And let's stop tripping. You've had some great white female ball players before. Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Rebecca Lobo. Y'all, come on. I just think that sometimes folk are so touchy if they don't realize what's going on. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and all the other players is great for women's basketball. And I hope the ratings go through the roof. The demand of play, that was, the WNBA did not show the first preseason game of the Chicago Sky. Now, I'm gonna blame the Chicago Sky owners. Because see, guess what? The Indiana Fever owners, they rolled the red carpet for Caitlin Clark. They completely capitalized on her popularity. They had the jersey ready, everything. Chicago Sky, that Angel Reese news conference, that shit sucked. It sucked ass. It was horrible. I blame ownership for that. I blame management for that. If you're the Chicago Sky and you ain't marketing Angel Reese right, that's on you. Not the WNBA, but I want black folks to recognize that if Caitlin Clark causes the WNBA's media rights to skyrocket and jersey sales to skyrocket and all of these teams become elevated, I'm good with that. Because a lot of black ball players are going to benefit as well. Let's go to my panel, chat about this here. Kelly, I've watched a lot of women's hoops. When Texas A&M went to the NCAA championship, played Notre Dame, they beat Stanford in the semifinals. I booked a flight to Indianapolis. I was there for the championship game when they won. Hugely supportive of my man, Gary Blair was the head coach. I grew up in Houston. We watched the Houston Comets, the first dynasty in the WNBA, win 3 championships. Tina Thompson, Cynthia Cooper, as well as Cheryl Swoops. When I look at it, I remember the UConn, Tennessee games were just legendary. I mean, you're seeing this. But I just think a lot of people are being way too damn sensitive as if, oh my goodness, how they mistreating the sister, Angel Reese versus the white girl getting all the attention. I'm sorry. The Indiana Fever were prepared to blow everything out of the water. Chicago Sky were not. And guess what? Again, just like with Tiger, if Caitlin Clark's presence causes ratings to skyrocket and money to skyrocket, everybody benefits, not just her.
I think two things can be true at the same time. Your viewpoint of Caitlin Clark elevating the visibility of the NBA, elevating the value of the WNBA, that very well may be true because she's an excellent ball player. I'm not going to take that away from her. I can't take that away from her. The stats speak for themselves. But there is a point of contention being that she is getting this exposure because she's white. It's not that Black women basketball players weren't ever as good as Caitlin Clark. They were. They just didn't get that attention.
But also, also nobody was watching.
But they weren't watching because they were Black women.
They weren't watching because we live in a sports world that was male dominated, and the people who are dissenting. First of all, you had some white girls hooping back then too. So it wasn't like Cheryl Miller, Teresa Witherspoon, Dawn Staley. It was just them. You had some white girls hooping. We're just simply seeing the league and the embracing of women's sports come of age. And I'm like, great. Clark, Reese, whoever, everybody come along because finally they can now start making real money in America and I ain't got to go overseas.
Mm-hmm. Again, true. But there's layers to this. It's not just the fact that, there's an elevation of women's sports, but the elevation specifically when it comes to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark, it's because Caitlin Clark is white. I mean, that is a layer to it, right? I'm not saying, again, I'm not dismissing her accomplishments. I'm not trying to inflate Reese's accomplishments.
Got it.
But again, the reason why we're seeing a lot of what we're seeing in the WNBA is because their star player is a white woman.
And if Larry Bird was not white, and when Magic Johnson came out, you would not have seen the reaction in the NBA.
Exactly. I'm just saying, like, we just need to recognize that there are layers to this. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but the layer that people are talking about the most is the fact that she's a white woman. And that part
who can hoop
as well.
Who can hoop? At the end of the day, she ain't just white, Michael. She can hoop.
Yeah, there are layers to this. I think some people, I watched some of the commentary on MSNBC, and I watched some of the commentary from sports analysts who really follow the WNBA. So I remember when the WNBA started, and I watched it. We had the Detroit Shock here in Detroit. The owner of the Detroit Shock sold them because really there was a lack of support here in Detroit. But also the WNBA, the way it was promoted, okay, just in general, the way it was promoted, I think you see more interest in it now than you have over the past few years. A few things have happened. Number one, I think the fight to get Brittany Griner released from Russia, I think that helped to draw attention to to how little WNBA players were being played, and then the fact that she had to play for a Russian team to make $1 million a season playing for Russia and couldn't get that here in the U.S. And then we know there were contract renegotiations, I think it was last year, for WNBA players, and then also the NCAA championship, the rematch between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, that drew a record number of viewers. And like for myself, for the first time, I watched some of the WNBA draft. I don't ever remember watching any of the WNBA draft in the past. So it draws all of this attention, increase in ticket sales, viewership, as well as jerseys. That helps benefit everybody. And we know Angel Reese has contracts. We know even in college, Angel Reese had contracts. Caitlin Clark has a contract with Xfinity and others. So this is going to help everybody. But because this is America, there's always usually some racism in it as well.
But see, but to me, it's not even a question of racism. Look, I get all of that. I understand history. I understand all those things. But I also understand marketing. And what I understand, Matt, is that if I'm looking at this here, and I'm also looking at how first of all these WNBA teams have been losing money, all of them.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And so now you see what's happening in college. In order to actually build something, you need stars. You need stars that transcend their sports, and you had other stars, but the reality is, were they marketable stars? Maybe. But the reality is, when you have a player that crosses a certain threshold, that crosses a sports threshold, that now has what Michael just said, he sat and actually watched the WNBA draft. What now happens is, when you have a player of that caliber, then what you do is you latch onto that. David Stern wasn't crazy. David Stern said, hell yeah, I got to latch on to Michael Jordan. And he was black. Because the reality is, you have to understand, it's a marketing game. You're competing in a sports landscape where you have the behemoth of the NFL. The second behemoth is the NBA. The third behemoth is Major League Baseball. Look, the PGA Tour, for all of guess what? That tour is only worth $1.25 billion. That's far away from baseball, basketball, and football. We talk about the WNBA, you're lower than hockey. You might be on par, you're probably lower even than Major League Soccer. So I dare say, people kind of like, man, this is a damn shame what they doing. A bunch of these people who also would support Angel Reese never even followed WNBA. And I'll give y'all something. I did not know until somebody tweeted they said all these teams are avoiding the Las Vegas Aces. And I was like, huh? I didn't know that the WNBA teams, they pick their own preseason opponents. Those games are not scheduled by the league. I was like, wow. Why? Because I don't follow WNBA like that. And so a lot of people who are commenting are new to WNBA, right. Don't know nothing about the history, don't know nothing about anything at all. And so they're like, I can't believe her game wasn't on. Y'all, they barely had their games on regular season. So what the WNBA now has to do, they now got to play a massive game of catch-up because the interest of these incoming stars is now driving the fandom, and now the league is going to have to recalculate, and the teams are going to have to recalculate. And so you take the Washington franchise. If you're the Mystics, which is one in WNBA championship, they play their game somewhere else. If Caitlin Clark is coming to town, better put that damn thing in Capital One. That's just marketing 101, Matt.
I don't think you're wrong, but I think you are focused myopically on the economic part of this.
You damn right I am.
This comes at the expense of a league that was comprised of already 60% players. And look at this. The reason Caitlin Clark has skyrocketed as the person that the WNBA has gotten behind is she is dominant. I mean, you're not telling the truth if you don't say she's not a fantastic athlete. However, she's also an Iowan. She's a Midwestern, inoffensive white woman who fits the exact prototype of who they want to run with to be the great white hope. Look at Larry Bird, French Lick, Indiana. I mean, how much did they play up that here's this country hick who can hoop with all the inner city brothers?
No. Hold on, let's be clear. That same country hick was like, don't y'all put no white dude on me to guard me. That's disrespectful. That same white boy said, y'all better put a brother on me to show me some respect for my game. He could hoop.
And he was cold, and Caitlin Clark can hoop. There's no question with that. But the reality is she fits an archetype that is marketable, more marketable than some of the women who are already in the league. And to not discuss that is to purposely overlook clear evidence. And here's the thing. Kelly said it perfectly. That's why I hate when I go second or third, because two things can be true at the same time, right? And the WNBA would be, asinine. It would not be smart to not capitalize on this momentum, but we cannot be dishonest as though this momentum is not behind an archetypal white woman who is expensive and who fits that prototype.
And what I'm saying is it
is inherent that black people will see that and take umbrage with that. I don't think there's a problem with that. Two things can be true at the same time.
And guess what?
Coverage. Caitlin Clark ran into a fan on the court, right? And there were all kinds of equivocations about why that happened and why it wasn't as problematic. But Angel Reese, motions to her in the championship game, and she's the spawn of Satan. And the reality is, even if the WNBA is capitalizing on this, we cannot overlook the fact that Caitlin Clark fits a prototype that is more marketable than a black woman in a black-dominated sport. That is just the truth of it.
And
I don't think people are wrong for seeing it.
And let me be clear. When Tiger Woods came out, what was marketed, he was black, he was different, he was dominant, and guess what? Every single white player, every single tour stop, they all were like, ooh, yeah, Lord. Because you know why? Tiger got all of them paid. And all I'm saying is this here, I ain't gonna be mad. If the white girl come in here and hoop, and she sit here and drive interest and drive ratings, we all gonna get paid. Because guess what? The NBA was majority black when Larry and Magic came in. And there was a lot of black ball players who were jealous of hell of Magic Johnson and the contract he got. But guess what? All them same players got paid big deals because of Magic and Larry. All I'm saying is, y'all folk can be mad, upset, Caitlin getting this, I want Caitlin Clark to blow the hell up. because that means the 60+% of black ball players, salaries are going to increase, sponsorship's going to increase, marketing deals going to increase. So I'm all for it. Go right ahead. Ball out. I want Caitlin Clark to do for the sisters what Tiger Woods did for the white boys in golf. Make everybody richer.
If that happened in a vacuum, I'd be completely with you. But it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens where she is compared to the black women and is lionized, where those black women are looked at as less than valuable. I mean, look at Emmanuel Acho's comments. And first off, when we talk about Angel
First of all, Emmanuel Acho could go to hell. But go ahead.
Well, I appreciate your directness and forthrightness in your opinion.
I ain't never been I ain't never operated in the gray area.
I appreciate that. But the point to that is the expense is there's a rising tide lifts all boats, but it has been at the expense of black women in exchange for the great white hope.
But actually it hasn't. Here's the reality. If anyone studies the game, if you study the WNBA, what you have seen is this. You've seen a slow, steady increase. Let's be real clear, you have had white superstars come out of college. Again, Sue Bird, Taurasi, I can name several. You've had black stars, Maya Moore, Aja Wilson, you could name all of them. But the reality is, we all understand once in a generation. Magic and Larry were once in a generation. Michael Jordan was once in a generation. Tiger Woods was once in a generation. It happens. And so there's going to be somebody who hits at the right time, at the right moment, and all of a sudden catapults a sport. I'm using Tiger as an example. You had Arnold, you had Jack, you had Johnny Miller, you had Tom Kite, you had Tom Watson, but none of them brought what Tiger brought. And what I'm saying is all the other golfers, the purses in golf were like $1 million, $1.5 million. That shit went to 3, 4, 5, rising. Hell, one of the reasons why they worry right now about the Saudi Arabian folk, because Tiger is so hurt, he ain't winning, they ain't gonna get no big media deal. All I'm saying is, I am not going to be mad with what happens with Caitlin Clark, because guess what? A bunch of folk who are black are about to get paid real well. Real well. And you know what? The franchises, you're gonna see more marketing, more visibility, more games on broadcast network, a better deal, and that's gonna also then spur more interest in women's college basketball, women's high school basketball. It's gonna come all the way down. So I'm here for it. I ain't gonna complain about it because I ain't got no problem seeing Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, all these folks over the next decade. So I'm like, Caitlin, come in here, hoop your ass off, and get everybody paid.
You're right. But
because one of the reasons Brittany Griner had to go to Russia, because they could not make a lot of money in the WNBA. So I'm down
That's
with it.
What I was saying.
I'm down with it. I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, hey, Caitlin, go score your 40. Go right ahead.
CNN's coverage was a picture of Iowa losing the championship, right? Because she's the great white hope. And I'm not taking anything away from her. I think she's a dominant athlete, and I think she is a generational talent. But we would be obtuse to not look at the fact that part of the reason they have run with her the way they have is because she is the great white hope.
Let me ask you this question. If Tiger Woods was in the final group in the Masters and he lost by one stroke, would the winner's photo have been on CNN.com?
Yes.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
No, it wouldn't. I'm telling you right, Kelly.
When he was in his prime.
No, Kelly.
When he first got on the scene, Yes, they would.
No, Kelly.
If he was in the same standing as Caitlyn,
no, Kelly.
Yes, they would.
Kelly, you didn't hear Kelly, you didn't hear the question. You didn't hear what I said. No, you didn't hear what I said. What I said is the Masters was last month. If Tiger Woods was in the final group and Tiger Woods came up one shot short of the Masters, who would have been on the front of CNN.com? Tiger loses the Masters by 1, not whoever won. You know why? Do you know why? Do you know why? Because whoever won ain't as marketable as Tiger. Now, hold up. Now, I'm telling you how editorial decisions are made. Now, what happened was CNN got their ass ripped. CNN got their ass ripped, and they have actually changed that. But that is what happens when folk focus on an individual and not team. But I'm telling you, bottom line is this here. What Caitlin Clark is going to do, I'm going to compare it to Michael Jordan. The deal that she signed with Nike, the deal that Michael signed with Nike. Magic and Bird saved the WNBA and took it here. Michael Jordan took it here to a whole new level. And Michael was black. If Caitlin Clark does that, every player is going to benefit. I ain't gonna be mad. I'm gonna get paid. I'm telling you, y'all can write this down right now. All three of y'all, write this day right now, write down 8:06 p.m. I guarantee you the average salary of the WNBA players in 5 years will more than double and possibly triple what it is today, because their television rights deals are going to be a lot higher than it was before this year. Watch it happen. That means everybody gets paid. So I'm cool with everybody getting paid. I'm cool with it. Except Michael and Siglas. But I'm cool with it.
I don't have a problem with it.
I'm cool. No, I'm just saying, it's just going to be. And if,
what's going to happen.
And all them franchises, y'all watch this year. You're going to see folk walking around with Mystic shirts. You like, damn, I ain't never seen this many Mystic shirts in D.C. I ain't never seen. Y'all still got y'all team in Detroit, Michael?
No, I was saying no. And the Detroit Shot won at least 3 championships that I remember. And it was sold because of really lack of support here in Detroit. So it was sold maybe 8 to 10 years ago, something like that. But with the popularity of the WNBA increasing, with Detroit just having the NFL draft here, and the Lions just making the playoffs as well early this year.
I'll put another bet. I'm going to do another bet.
Detroit could get a WNBA.
I'm going to do another bet.
Him again.
Y'all, I bet they bring your team back. And trust me, they're going to bring the Houston Comets back. You know why? Because now WNBA franchises are now going to be able to make some money.
Yes.
They were losing money. All of them. The whole league. The league has been.
They used to give away tickets for the Shot. They used to give away tickets.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Y'all watch. Everybody about to get paid. So all the sisters, cash them checks. Cash the checks and be like them white boys in golf. They were like, Tiger, appreciate that, dog. Appreciate that. It's going to happen. And you know what? It's going to be great. It's going to be great because the ratings are also going to go to the next level. So I can't wait to see what I call the WNBA 3.0. We had 1.0, we had 2.0. What you see this year is going to take them to a whole new level. And then when you get the stars coming out of college next year,
right?
It's going to be what? The girl Paige from UConn. Then you've got the other star. I'm telling y'all, it's going to be a whole new deal. I can't wait for it. I can't wait. Got to go. We thought we were going to get Ronald Greene's mother. We were unable to lock her down, so we're going to try to get her on the show Monday. Lots we're going to do next week. Tarrant County Commissioner Roy Brooks is going to be joining us talking about that ridiculous DA in Tarrant County who keeps terrorizing Crystal Mason. We hope to have Marilyn Mosby on the show next week as well. So there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. Also, we hope to have Black Lives Matter Network on the foundation. They're suing the Tides Foundation, saying they are withholding some $30 million from the Black Lives Matter Foundation. So a lot of drama as well. So a whole bunch of stuff we got to cover. And so looking forward to that. Matt, Kelly, Michael, I appreciate it. Also, Michael, I came across something, Michael, I forgot. I also did the Chicago State University and the Tennessee State University commencements as well. So I just wanted.
I don't doubt that, Roland.
And plus Cedar Valley College in Dallas as well. And I forgot Langston University in Oklahoma. We got them as well. So I just wanted also and Central State in Ohio. So I just want to remind you that.
Well, colleges, holler at Michael Imhotep for next year to do your commencement.
Yeah, y'all.
It's gonna be off the hook.
Yeah, all charter schools looking to close the following year. Please book Michael to be their commencement speaker, Michael. And I'm sure Kelly will put in a word for you to speak at Bowie State.
No, don't talk to Kelly.
No, Kelly gonna put in a word for you at Bowie State.
No, Kelly.
I am saying Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers and mother figures this weekend. May you have the weekend that you've earned and deserved of rest and awesomeness. Happy Mother's Day to my mommy and my aunties and everybody. I love you all. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Y'all got the other stuff.
Okay, Michael, Matt, Matt, you got something to say?
Happy Mother's Day to my mom. Happy Mother's Day to my.
I said Matt. Hold on.
You said Mike. First you said Michael.
Michael and Matt don't sound the same. Matt gone.
Michael first.
Now go ahead, Michael. You got it.
Hell no, he ain't got it. You go.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you. All the women out there who have poured into me, thank you. And all the women who pour into other people and other Black men, thank you. And people in your families. We love y'all and hope that you feel cherished as you are this weekend.
All right, Michael.
So happy Mother's Day to my mom. Happy Mother's Day to my daughter's mom as well. And hopefully everybody has a happy Mother's Day.
All right, I ain't got no baby mama. So shout out to my mom. I ain't got no kids. Kelly, why you looking like that, Kelly?
That was just real shady. That was rude.
I'm King Petty. What? All right, shout. What? I don't.
We gotta go.
Shout out to my mom, but also my niece Faith. She got her master's today from Howard University, and so I stopped by there for the architecture. Her master's in architecture, and so shout out to her. They had thank God the graduation didn't go like the nursing students. Lord, it was a little drama at Howard yesterday.
That was wild.
Y'all saw that video? Ooh, Lord. Ooh, Lord.
I don't think.
Here's my deal. Howard, just do this here. Just do one big ass graduation, rent out Capital One Arena, and invite everybody, okay? But all these little individual graduations, Lord have mercy, that's just too much drama. That's it, folks. We got to go. I appreciate it. I gotta go home and get some gumbo. My parents are here, so we got some stuff ready. That's it, folks. Support us in what we do. Trust me, the stuff that we do here, we have lots of fun, of course, messing with each other all the time, but it's always great to have the conversations that we do, because you ain't getting anywhere else. So we want you to join our Bring the Funk fan club. I don't know why y'all running that, because you know we gotta stop, pause it to show people how to give to the show. So there you go right there. I don't know why y'all running too early. So if y'all want to give to the show, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. rolling at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All y'all YouTube folks, hurry the hell up. While we only have 760 some odd likes, we should be at 1,000. Y'all need to hurry the hell up, get to 1,000 before we get off. Y'all been running y'all miles in the chat, but y'all ain't been clicking the like button. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, The Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. We are sold out of my books of the first, but y'all might be in luck. I'm having my brother check. I think I left a few cases at his house in Houston. I will let y'all know. But right now, we have taken the first off of the website because we've sold out. And so just want to let y'all know that. All right, I'm going to see y'all on Monday. Ho!